All right, all right, all right. What is up, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to TA Tech News Weekly. I'm your host, TA Tech, and we are joined today by my good friend, Technoid. What's up, man? How are you?
Oh man, if I can only tell you, man, it's been an exhausting week for me ever since getting back on YouTube after vacation and starting school and but there are moments when you need to take your mind off just to relax and cool off, and this is the first time I've been live since I've been back, so it feels good to be back on and it feels good to be a guest. So I appreciate you having me and I appreciate that I'm here tonight.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Listen, man, I've been on your shows a few times and I've seen your shows and videos and stuff. And, I like to have people on here once in a while, especially those who have helped me, in my YouTube journey. So thank you for being here, man. Before we begin today, I wanted to just point out this article. I just saw this before I was joined by Technoid just a minute ago. So, mysterious posts suggest Apple is filming their next event at Apple Park. Can I just say that I cannot believe that we are weeks away from this event? Um, Dude, like this is awesome. I wait every single year for the day to come where there's an event because it's just awesome to see an event and then go watch a live stream or host a live stream to talk about it. And so let's see here the news. Apple may be in the process of filming their next event, according to an Instagram story post yesterday by Stephen Hewen, uh, Apple's head of music programming, brand experience, and events. The post, which shows a sunny day at Apple Park, is simply captioned with the movie emoji. What would you call that?
Like I know what you're talking about, like the movie take, like take
Yeah, the movie take thing. I don't know what it's called. But after checking through Hewen's Instagram profile, multiple posts from the past show extensive and exclusive access to Apple Park. Our take, listen, I'm not saying that an Instagram story with an emoji is confirmation that Apple is filming an event right now, but this is higher up at Apple, is clearly quite connected to the spaceship campus and ahead of rumored taking place on March 8th. I don't think this is too much of a stretch. Lots of smoke at this point for no fire. So this is the picture. Steve looks like Steve
hmm
Locker.
something like that.
So yeah, what are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts
Well,
for the event overall?
well, I'll be honest. Um, when I first heard about the event itself, I wasn't really feeling it. Meaning, like, I wasn't really into the March event as much as I usually am for WWDC or September, October.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
usually in March, I usually just expect a bunch of product drops or maybe even press releases. I don't necessarily expect an Apple event, but
right.
I am somewhat excited this year than I have been last year and the year before, because I'm mostly excited to see what Apple's doing in March, because we've heard that this year they're dropping huge amounts of products, and that's
Yeah,
what's is scratching my brain. Is what are we gonna start with? What's the appetizer before the main course? Like that's what I'm curious.
definitely. There's another post here. Um, Again, I'm gonna share the screen, and All right, so this is what's coming at the Apple March event. Extremely likely iPhone SE. Okay, I gotta tell you guys, honestly, I'm not too excited for the iPhone SE. Just because, as the post says here, the new iPhone SE will be essentially unchanged, with only difference being a faster processor, 5G support, and updated camera, according to Mark Gurman, who was 85.5% accurate. It could be called iPhone 5, the iPhone SE plus 5G. That's a tongue twister in itself, but that's according to Ross Young, who is 100% accurate. iPad Air, the new iPad Air will also look extremely similar, if not identical, to the current model. The only significant changes are rumored to be an A15 chip and 5G support, according to Mark Gurman. Uh, but center stage support a new 12 megapixel ultra wide front camera, and lastly, a new quad LED flash, True Tone flash, could also make an appearance, according to Maka Takara, who is 59.9% accurate. Let's see here. Very likely Mac Mini. Not as much is known about the upcoming Mac Mini, as sources don't seem to agree. Some say that Apple will reveal a M2 Mac Mini, while others say that Apple will unveil a new M1 Pro and M1 Max Mac Mini. Regardless, a major redesign is expected. It will either have an extremely thin design with a plexiglass like top, or it will look like the 3, 4 Mac Minis stacked on top of each other, according to John Prosser, who is 69% accurate.
69. I see what they did there. Good one, John.
Man, John, come on. You walked into that. You walked yourself into that, man. Come on. Oh, man. So, Mark Gurman, 85.5% accurate, has confirmed that Apple will announce at least one Mac this spring. Regulatory filings have revealed multiple Macs ahead of the event. So what do you think of this? What do you think of this, man?
All right. Well, couple things. So, number one, also sorry if I have my camera turned off, just doing something real quickly.
Yeah, no, go
So
ahead.
number one, first of all, when they said that this event was happening, they said that originally, when the rumors started, the main product of the show was the iPhone SE. And after finding out all the details, knowing what we know now, I remember thinking to myself, if this event is going to be all about the iPhone SE and they don't have any other products to back it up, or if they make the iPhone SE the main product, I am probably going to delete my Twitter. I said that, and then we found out news of the Mac Mini, iPad Air, and I'm like, okay, that's a lot better. See, I could work with that.
Yeah,
But starting with the iPhone SE, that's that, look, I don't want to say something that I'm gonna regret, because I know if you say something you're gonna regret, then everybody's gonna call you out on it. But I gotta say this, man. I understand the whole saying of if it's not broken, don't fix it. But the iPhone SE is a product that does not deserve to be at an event. That is more of a press release or website refresh product. I
yeah,
don't I don't understand why this is getting mainstream appeal. And I'm not saying you, I'm talking everybody. Because when you look at the phone itself, it's an entry level phone. Let's call a spade a spade. It's an entry level device that gets you into the ecosystem, that gets you into their subscription line. It gets you into iOS. It gets you into iCloud. It gets you into everything. That's what
Right.
it is. It's not a
Right.
phone that's a budget end. Sure, it's priced in the budget end, but the goal is just to get you into the ecosystem. And
Yep.
it baffles me that even after 8 years of the same design, Apple is still insisting on saying that that design is revolutionary, that it's a breakthrough, that we're going to keep using it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and don't worry, I'll move on from this because I know we're limited in time and I don't want to spend too much time on one product. But
No.
Apple, you say that you couldn't find a way to make a new redesign and price it in the range of the iPhone SE. I got an idea for you, and I mentioned this on one of my episodes. You ever heard of the iPhone 10R? Remember that? Just do that. Take the iPhone 10R chassis, which I'm sure you still have because you're making iPhone 11s. Take
Yep.
the 10R or the 11, whichever chassis, and there you go. That's it. That's all you have to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
But
Dude, I agree with completely. I agree completely. Um, I have said that it's cool that they're still continuing this design, just to catering to those who don't want to upgrade to the newer design. But at the same time, you have to progress sometime, and Apple's not gonna um they're not gonna do this forever. They're eventually gonna have to move on and go with the new stuff. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I that's my look on it.
I listen.
You got to
I
move on in life.
You got to
You
move
can't
on,
you
but
can't stay stuck in one place forever.
exactly. And for me, the SE was a cool phone. When they refreshed it the first time, I was cool with that because I said, okay, you're obviously upgrading from the iPhone 5 design, giving it the iPhone 8 and 7 design. So I'm like, okay, that works. You get aluminum, you get glass back wireless charging. It is a small device, but that's the idea of the SE. So
Right.
when they first did the redesign, I said, okay, that works. You're taking the old design, but you're giving the premium features. I thought that that was cool.
Right.
But
Right.
as you said, we're going into newer ages. We're going into newer territory. This shouldn't even be a part of their lineup
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
not the SE, but that design choice should not be a part of their lineup. I would have been happy if they took the SE Plus, like because this naming scheme that they got
Dude.
is worse.
Dude.
SE Plus 5G. What are you, Samsung now? Come on. But I'll say this: if
I
it's priced at three
completely
ninety
agree.
nine, if they price it at 399, then I think the complaints will stop.
Yep. Yep.
But I'm not excited for it. Now let's move on to the iPad Air. I like the iPad Air. It's not a tablet that I would be switching to right away. I would still stick with my iPad Pro, but I will admit there's nothing really to change with that. That design still works. So I shouldn't really have to really say anything else on that. I think that as long as they don't put a notch on a tablet, then we fine. Samsung obviously thought they were intuitive with that, but the iPad Air is a nice midway point. It's a nice midway tablet. So
Yeah.
I'm cool with that one. Now we talk Mac Mini and then on your screen MacBook Pro. So this is actually where I'm watching because I
Mm.
am in the market for a new MacBook. I've had
Oh.
my 2017 MacBook Pro, the 15 inch. I've had that for since 2017. So it's 18, 19, 20, 21, 5 years old. Now it's held up very well. It still works perfectly fine, but it's starting to show its age. And I do like the M1 chips, the M1 Pro and Max chips. I
Yeah.
hate the new MacBook Pros, not because they're not a good machine. I just do not like that display. And also, they are a little hefty on the price. But I will not lie to you. When I use my Mac, the only time I ever really use it is when it's plugged in, like how we are now. So that's where I'm looking at the Mac Mini and saying, that might be a better choice because I have the monitor, I have the speakers, I have the headset, I got everything set up. So
Yeah.
going all in on a personal desktop would probably work for me. And then I can get the M1 Pro and M1 Max. Another flip side says, but you take the computer with you when you go from upstairs to downstairs to film and edit. So got to figure that one out. But the Mac
True.
Pro is
True.
probably where I'm looking. But then we talk about this one, the low end MacBook Pro, which I talked about on my episode today.
Yeah.
I am confused where it stands. I think that this is an example of Apple making the same decisions they've made in the last several years and just
Yeah.
repeating history.
Definitely.
Because if you look at the chronological history of Apple, they've always done this.
Right.
MacBook,
Right.
MacBook Air, MacBook Pro. You have three models. MacBook, which everybody thought was supposed to be the cheaper model because you think MacBook, okay, that's basic. No, that's actually expensive. MacBook Air, that's the cheaper model, but is more capable and more handling than the MacBook, the original. Then
Right.
the MacBook Pros. So you then look at this machine. Now, you could argue that it does get you into the pro, quote, pro area because it gives you a pro-like machine with the M series chip. You do get the touch bar, which they're saying is staying with this model, which I don't mind the touch bar. I know it was universally hated, but I actually found it rather useful once in a while. So
Dude,
it
that's what
was
I'm
a nice
saying.
it was a
That's what
nice
I've
thing to
been
have.
saying.
But I find that if you're gonna make this a pro machine, you gotta have something to make it stand out.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, putting in an M1 Pro or M1 Max chip is not gonna do that. By putting the M2 chip, yes, but that's the same rumor we're hearing about the MacBook Air. So once
Yep.
again, Apple
Yep.
goes back into that territory. You got two machines that do the exact same thing. How are we going to differentiate it? And I think that the best way that they can approach this, not with the touch bar. You can't use a touch bar as a marketing scheme. You can't do that. Instead, you up the GPU performance. That is where I think you
Yeah.
can make the differentiation. If you give the Pro 12 cores, you give the MacBook Air 10 cores, that extra two cores will make a huge difference in terms of the machine's performance. So that is where
Oh
I
yeah,
see
for sure.
Apple. That's where I see them differentiating the Air and the Pro. But if this machine doesn't come out in March, I will still have my eye on it because, and I apologize if I talk too much,
No,
but
man.
I I'm looking at this entry level MacBook Pro and the Mac Mini, and
No.
it's not because I dislike the Pro machines because of the notch. No, but I look at my everyday use. I look at my YouTube editing. I look at basic tasks, and on my current situation, I am looking for a new Mac. I would like a smaller one that I could take with me that has the performance. So who knows?
Exactly.
Sorry for
No,
talking too
no.
much.
Man, please. Don't be
Don't
sorry.
need
This
to
is
take my.
why I invite people, you know? Yeah, no, I agree. I agree completely. I do, you know, I do like that they're doing this new the MacBook with the touch bar. Why
Mhm.
they took it away on the other MacBook, I don't know. I like when I heard about that, I was just really disappointed. Because the whole reason I actually have the Intel excuse me,
Mhm.
MacBook Pro 13-inch, and I love it. I mean, I love the touch bar. It's one of the main reasons I bought a MacBook, you know. Um, so I definitely think that, again, like I was saying about the iPhone, it's still good that they're catering to these people who like it,
Mhm.
and I hope they continue that for a little while.
Oh
Yo,
yeah.
what's up, Tech YT Needs? What's
Hey,
going
what's
on,
going
man?
on? No, yeah, you're absolutely right. I do think that there is a market share that the Apple wants to capture, and I'm sure that there is a demand for a low end MacBook Pro. I
Yeah,
will say this though. If they were to make, see, this is what's holding me back from buying those budget low end MacBook Pro. And I know why Apple does this, because they want you to spend the extra money to get the expensive version.
Yeah, yeah.
The expensive version, the premium MacBook Pros have those ports, the extra USB ports. I don't care about MagSafe charging. I don't really care much about that. I'm fine with USB-C being standard, but the budget end models only have two USB-C ports, and that wouldn't work for me, as my entire setup here is using all four ports on my 15-inch.
Yeah.
So I would buy the low end model if they had an option for an additional two ports, if they gave that option. If they gave that option, I would probably make the switch tomorrow. If they said the M2 MacBook Pros have four USB-C ports and that's it. If it said it had four USB-C ports and it does everything A, B, and C for this price, I'll trade it in my 15-inch, take the discount, do monthly payments. Boom, got myself a new MacBook
Yeah,
with an M series chip in it.
definitely. Definitely agree.
But we'll see. I
I,
will
I
keep my eye on it.
honestly, I honestly, what I bought this computer shortly before the newer ones came out, and I was so mad. I was so mad because I think it was that week. I had bought it one day, like a couple days later. John Prosser came out with his episode talking about it, new
Hmm.
ports, this, that, the other. And I'm just like, yo, this is true. And then come see the event, and it was true. I was just like, I couldn't have waited a couple more months. Like, come on, you know?
Yeah, yeah, man.
So,
I
like,
feel you.
and then I had to buy all these hubs and all these different things. And
Hmm.
I was going for, a very minimal thing. And then I was like, it come to find out that I'm like, oh, I'm going to need this. I'm going to need that. And
Hmm.
I'm over here with my desk like half full again. And I
Oh yeah.
mean, at this point, I could have just bought a desktop, you know.
Hmm.
But hey, it is what it is, I guess.
Hey, listen, man. I'm telling you. I really hope that this low end MacBook Pro, this 13-inch, the 13-inch model, I really hope that they do add those two ports, because I don't want to buy hubs. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
want to do
me,
that.
bro.
But it's not like I'm in a dire need of a new MacBook. I could probably milk my 15-inch, but I
Yeah,
want that M series chip, regardless of if it's Pro, Max, or even M2. I don't care. I've seen how well performed they are in real time. My girlfriend
right.
got the M1 MacBook Air. That thing is faster than my own machine, a 15-inch. That thing is
Damn,
faster, and
damn.
you got a problem when, and I think that,
Yeah,
something, could you pull up Apple's website for a second? I want to show you how they could do this, like how they could
sure.
position the budget
Actually,
end.
if you want to share something, you can. You have the option.
Oh sure, I wasn't sure,
Yeah,
because
you
I
have
know
that
I'm not.
option. There, I just have to approve it.
All right, give me a sec, let
So
me see here, let me get a tab. All right, here we go. Yeah, here you go, let's get it up here. All right, so let's take a look at quickly the MacBook Air. So the MacBook Air is ultimately got the same specs as the MacBook Pro. You see, you've got your 8-core and 8-core GPU. You got your configurations with the speed. Sorry. There we go. If we go into, chances are people are probably going to take the expensive one because
yeah,
of the storage. But let's say you up it up. You go 16 gigabytes, 1 terabyte. It's 1649. Now on the surface, you're like, okay, it's cheaper than the MacBook Pro. So why am I buying the MacBook Pro? Well,
right.
memorize this configuration. I want you guys to memorize this configuration. You got 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now let's go over to the MacBook Pros. Here's the 13-inch model. Let's do that same configuration. Let's do that same configuration. The only difference that we can see here is the M1 chip has 8 core, but a 16-core neural engine, which I don't believe was in the Air. So that's one
Right.
difference. But it has the same ports. It does have the same storage configuration, same RAM, same CPU. You do get a touch bar, but that's about it. So
Yeah.
here's how I would do it if I'm Apple. I would add those 2 additional ports. I would add those 2. I would up the GPU performance or make it a 10-core CPU and 10-core GPU. I'd make it a 10-core for both. Keep the neural
Yep.
engine
Yep.
and maybe add more RAM. Maybe add an option to add more RAM and maybe even pay for the option to have extra ports. I mean, listen, I know Apple likes to milk their consumers, but by giving them more choices for the budget end, you now distinguish it from the MacBook Air.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how
Mm-hmm.
I would position it because I can't really see anything. Because even on their breakdown here, it's almost identical.
Change the.
The only difference is that you get 20 hours of battery life. So you get 2 hours more. It's a little heavier. You do get a touch bar, but you
Yep.
get the same FaceTime camera and all that. So that's how I position it if I'm Apple going to release this new 13-inch MacBook Pro. Because don't get me wrong, I got no problem buying this notched version,
Yep. Yep.
but I do not want to drop 2,000,
No.
even with the
Exactly.
trade-in, even with trade-in.
Right.
So and it's not because it's expensive; I can afford it, but I would rather go with a machine that can do ultimately what I need it to do, and it's
Yeah, for
smaller
sure.
and it's more than enough for me. So that's just me. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Real quickly, let me look at the Mac Mini. You don't have to put it. You don't have to put it up. I was just gonna see what they're doing with that because I do know that the M1 chips are their low end. So if they were, I think that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna replace this Intel one with the Pro and Max chip. I think they're gonna do that. I think that's probably their goal. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my take on the event. That's my take. That's my homework. That's my whole. So fun fact, that's my college stuff that I'm working on. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah. I definitely agree. Now, what do you think as far as like the event goes? What do you think they'll announce first?
I want to
Or
say
better yet, what do you want to see first?
I want to see the iPhone first. I just want to get that out of the way
Gotcha.
because there's no reason to drag an event just for the iPhone SE. So get that out of the way right away.
Right. Right.
Second would be the iPad.
Mhm.
Definitely the iPad. And then
Yes.
third, which
Yes.
should be the main star of the show, are the new Macs, whatever they unveil.
Yeah, that is a good point. Um, I personally, I would like to see the MacBook, the iPad and MacBook, and then the iPhone, because honestly, what's there to say about this iPhone? Again, we just read that it's basically going to be some spec bumps and 5G. Whoop de doo. No design change or anything.
I
You
was
know,
just thinking. If Apple had the guts to put MagSafe on an SE and say that was a major game changer, I will personally go
bruh.
to my doctor and I will surgically remove one of my kidneys and donate it to science. If they turn around and say that MagSafe is going to be the most revolutionary redesign for this SE,
Bruh.
I don't think they do, bro. So I'm keeping a
Why
kidney.
do I see that happening too? Like honestly.
I don't know, but it'd be good though if the SE could tap in on MagSafe because then that'd be more sales for Apple with
For sure,
MagSafe.
yeah. Yeah, I've even said it, MagSafe at all, you know. I made a video where now I want your opinion on this, but I think it would be cool if they could develop, and maybe it won't come now, maybe it'll just be 5-10 years from now. But I think it would be cool to invent a mat that can charge all your devices, MacBook, iPad, iPhone, everything. just in one place.
Well, that sounded like air power at first.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, yeah, but AirPower wasn't going to charge a MacBook. So,
No, no. I think that's not a bad idea. I just wonder how are they going to do it. I mean, for the MacBook, if you want to say magnetic connection, maybe, but I don't know where they could put that on a chassis. The iPad, it's rumored that it may have a MagSafe coil on the back.
yeah,
iPhones definitely. Maybe Apple Watches are next. Who knows?
yeah,
But
that would be
when
sick.
when we think of air power, when I think back to air power, I think of such a shame because it was a really cool idea at the time. When wireless charging was still in its early phases, when
I'm gonna
they
do
were
this just because it looks like we're looking at each other.
yeah, there you go. Got you right there. There you go. But no, yeah, when you think back to air power, you know, it was a neat idea because it was 2017. Samsung was releasing the S8, the
Yep.
S9, or somewhere around that area, Note 9, and a lot of people. I think it was the S8. I think it was the S8. I'm not sure, but you have the idea of your device charging wirelessly. You had the idea that it could be revolutionized, and Apple did try to do that. That was the one time I think, if there was ever a
Yeah.
timepiece where they could have excelled, that was the product. But I
Right.
think the technology just wasn't advanced because wireless charging was still going through its phases. And I also do believe that trying to make it a mat that tries to charge everything in no matter what spot you put it in is just not going to work, especially because your Apple Watch is not a
True.
charging. But with the addition now of MagSafe, with how far the wireless technology company has come, and
Yep.
it's and looking at what Michael Pepper said, Xiaomi did make
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, air, like truly wireless charging. The advancement is now there. It's just a
But
matter of
here's the thing with that. What if you don't want, so like let's say you walk into the room and you don't want things to charge like that.
well,
You
then
know,
there would be like a
and
setting.
yeah, but what if that like what if there's a malfunction that you can't disable it? I'm just like, thinking things could happen to that.
Well,
So
if that did happen, if there was a malfunction in the unit where it still charges wirelessly or not, I feel like then it would probably just be an update in either the router's firmware or maybe even or whatever this device, because I haven't kept up with it, but I did cover it when it first was announced. Um, or maybe the phone needs an update or something along those lines.
right.
But you do have a point. You do got a point. I got to give you that. You do. And I think the only problem
Just
with
thinking out of the box here. You know what I mean?
I think, but one of the biggest issues with that kind of technology is the distance. I think that that's the biggest thing that they got to work on is how far it can charge, how
Yeah.
fast can it charge at that distance, and I think also like what can you do with it once it's wireless. But I like the idea. I think the idea is cool. I think that
Right.
that's truly capturing the wireless future that everybody wanted to see.
For sure. For sure. Let's see what Michael's saying here. Physical bypass switch to disconnect.
That's a good idea. A
Yeah.
physical, like an actual manual. That's a good idea.
Yeah. That is pretty cool. And that's what I was saying with the whole mat thing. I think that if they were to develop something like that and have the switch where if you don't want it to charge, then just switch it
Hmm.
off and all set. Um,
Oh yeah.
you know,
Actually, gonna show you something real quickly here. I'm gonna
yeah,
share
sure.
it on your screen. Um, so when Apple discontinued AirPower, the prototypes got in the hands of a couple of people, and they tore it down. And we can see. I'm gonna share with you on here where we could see, presumably, what could have been in this mat that Apple was trying to do, and knowing what we know now with
Mhm.
everything that we have in the wireless technology, we could see the faults in their design. So I'm going to zoom in here
Oh,
So the first big issue was the layout of this mat. Looking at the coil array, looking at the circuit components, looking at the holders, the screw holes, and looking at the conduction unit, we can see the problem was Apple tried to use hardware to to kind of coincide telling the charger how much to do. That's why you got so many components and capacitors trying to function with each other.
yep, yep,
But notice there's not one cooling unit, no thermal compound of any kind, no cooling of any, which was one of the biggest issues they had, was overheating. Knowing what we know now, they should have put a thermal paste or a thermal conductor that can dispense heat like what we see in the MacBooks. Not saying they need to take a MacBook design, but take like a vapor cooling chamber where it dissipates the heat,
yep,
or do what OnePlus did for many years. When you're conducting the charge, allow the heat to go back into the brick. So that way the devices stay cool. The mat stays cool. They're doing it now with their OnePlus warp charging wirelessly. So the technology is now there.
yeah,
When we look at this, and I think if we scroll down more, oh no, it's actually at the top. I'm sorry. When we look at the top here, this circuit board,
ooh,
you've got here, let's take a look. You've got one. This is the main brain that would anticipate, that would tell where to source the heat. You've got one, two, three, multiple different circuits, four, five. They're all trying to communicate with each other, but the problem
yeah, yep,
is you don't have an actual thermal cooling system. And with regards to the Apple Watch, there was never a position, unless of course there was some proprietary technology that's in this charging mat. So knowing what we know now, we could see why it failed and what we could have done if Apple had tried again now
yeah, yeah,
with the technology that we have. Because now you can take, okay, we have magnetic alignment. We can add the thermal compound. We can dissipate the heat through the brick instead of it being to the mat, and then the phone gets the heat. We can, instead of adding these circuit pieces and working with iOS, we can put a vapor cooling chamber on top of the coils or at the bottom where this cutout is here, which ultimately looks like where the coil arrays were going to go. So you put that on. But knowing everything that we know now on the law of electric components, it would probably work now. So
yeah, yeah.
listen, I sound probably like an amateur talking here because there's more people that know more than me with what I'm saying, but I just broke down computer engineering in my second year of college versus what Apple didn't have at the time. So knowing what we know now, they could have done better with today than it did before, but the idea was cool. So that's just what I wanted to share.
So Michael was asking, doesn't Xiaomi also have the pad where the charging coil moves to find the device, so it doesn't matter where you
Yes,
place the
and
device?
that device I believe a internal component that helps to keep the heat down. So when you get to that maximum wattage, it doesn't also interrupt when you move it around the phone. Another company did that, Slice Charge Pro. Look that up, Michael Pepper. Slice Charge Pro. They figured out the way to do multi-coil charging and keeping it cool with reducing heat. That's similar to what Xiaomi did.
Oh, okay.
Trust me, I was in on this stuff back too when the
What
pandemic hit.
what was that called?
The Slice Charger Pro.
Slice charger.
I think they're on the third one now, so they've had many
Oh
times to.
wow.
Yeah, the Slice Charger Pro. That was the original,
Dude.
multi-coil charger. It had, I believe, 6 coils, and then at the bottom of it was like a thermal cooling compound at the bottom. I believe it's been a while. I haven't kept up with it.
Let's see it. Yeah.
Originally, I was gonna buy it. I actually remember I wanted it, but then once I bought actually this mat, I still have it. It actually got discontinued, but it was made by Xvidea. So this was what I bought.
Oh
I
wow.
actually I actually did a review for them. This was one of my early bases of the channel. It still works. It's just that the Apple Watch, and the idea what they wanted to do was basically they had the magnets here. So the way it works is you get 1, 2, 3, 4 magnets, and it's in their charging cases. And this was actually kind of like MagSafe 0.5 before Apple decided to do the MagSafe, and it would charge everything, and it worked. It worked perfectly with my Note. It worked perfectly with my watch. It worked with everything. But
Yeah.
then discontinued it because then Apple sent out a firmware update where I guess their Apple Watch charger wasn't a genuine one, and I guess that interrupted it. So then they pulled it off the market. So it kind of sucks because this thing had a lot of potential, and I feel like Xvidea failed to capitalize on the product they had on their hands. They could have did a Samsung one. They could have did, you know, but I guess they just didn't. They just didn't do it.
Yeah. So I have this pulled up here. So I charged a Pro 6 coil wireless charging mat upgraded version.
Curious to see what they're doing. Kind of curious to see what they're doing nowadays. Sorry, but
So they have Michael Pepper says they have active phones now and can charge phones and Apple Watch. Pretty cool.
who
Uh,
has that? Oh, he means in general. Oh, yeah. They do. That's yeah.
Mark Sequence is asking how many devices charge at a time. Let's see that now, Mark. Let's see. So Select Charge Pro is the world's first 6 coil wireless charging mat, which not only enables a wide range of charging, but also has a built-in MiFi certified Apple Watch charger. Let's see tech specs here.
Let me see. I'm actually checking out Xvidea's website as we speak. While and I'm listening too. I'm watching. I was just curious to see what they've been up to because I hadn't checked them out since 2018. And it's not the same anymore. It's such a shame. Kind of wish it was. Yeah, it's
One
hard.
downside for me is not being able to use while charging with mats, pads like that. Though I know we shouldn't use no charge, but there's plenty we aren't supposed to do. Am I right? Yeah, true,
True.
true.
But yeah, that was the original idea. That was the first one that really pulled off
This
the
one's
multi
pretty
charge.
cool. And I've seen um not only like the MagSafe Duo, but there's other companies out there that make um charging pads that you can fold up and take on the go, which is pretty cool. I don't know what
Hmm.
company I saw it from, but those are pretty cool as well.
Hmm.
Let me Google it and see if I can find it.
You know what's crazy about Xvidea and the company that I was talking about
Yeah,
was that product that they sent me. The problem wasn't the charger, like the mat. It was the charger that they sent me in the box. It was
right.
short, bulky, didn't have any length, and it broke way too fast. And I remember when they said that they had to pull the product,
Yep.
like they were just like, we'll refund you. They actually refunded me because it just like no matter how many times I used it, it just kept breaking down.
Oh
But I,
wow.
but I really felt bad for them because they had a really good product, and I felt like if they had spent a little more time, that's the one thing I
Yeah.
wish like I could talk to these companies. Like I wish like obviously I'm not a big YouTuber, but I wish like if
Right.
they wanted like you know input, I would say go back to that triple charger that you guys tried to make, try to improve on it now with the technology that we have, and just get the certified Apple Watch charger. I mean, it doesn't cost that much in research and development and marketing, and they were charging a pretty hefty price for it anyway. So if you up the price by $10 to make your money back, don't see a
Right.
difference as long as you can get the MagSafe charging. But nah, man, yeah, it's amazing. How far the technology world has come,
Oh
and
yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's only gonna get better over time.
mhm.
Um, and as far as Apple goes, like I can't wait to see the new and improved stuff that they do.
Yep.
Especially when they go into um, AR and VR and stuff like that. I think it's gonna be like a badass game changer
Yeah.
for the company. And have you seen anything recently about how OTA charging is progressing? Um, I personally haven't, but I mean, I've seen stuff like that, and again, you know, if they could, make it so you have a switch when you do want it and don't want it, cool. But I don't know how people would like that kind of thing.
I would say the potential is there. The potential is definitely there. I feel like the execution needs more working on before it's ready to be
Yeah,
released to the public.
right, right. Let's see here. All right. I just wanted to even so. Mark is saying even if it's a 5-watt trickle charging, you basically never need to charge since you'll always be topped off. Yeah, but wouldn't that harm the phone or any device? Like
Uh, maybe. I mean,
maybe,
if you
maybe.
hold if you hold it at 80%, like Mark said, then you wouldn't damage the device. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true, true. That is true. So we'll have to see how far that goes. But um, I think that is all that I had for today. Again, I want to do this new thing where we talk about things, and I'm eventually going to make make it a little bit more interesting and fun. If you guys have any ideas of different things that I could do here on the live stream that make it different from everybody else, and make this show a little bit more enjoyable today. I don't know where everybody is. I usually have a couple more people talking in chat and everything, but I do appreciate you guys. I do appreciate you, Technoid, for coming on, man. Thank you so much for making some time and coming on. I know you have a very busy schedule with school and your own tech shows and stuff. But I do wish you the very best and everything.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And
No
I
problem,
promise
man.
you, Ben, once I figure out everything, once I get it going, hopefully we'll be back to where we were.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, I miss seeing you and Sneed live together, man. Man,
Yeah, man, I got to get
those
back
are the
on it
times.
soon.
Yeah, I've been watching a couple of his podcast episodes. So um, techno, I missed the pleasantries earlier. What do you mean by that? Man, I'll replay it once it ends right now. Catch the beginning. Awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Lately, I've been having people come on a little bit, like 20 minutes into the show. So I don't know what's been going on with everybody. I think, my own schedule has a lot to play with it. So, um,
Hmm.
it's tough, but I mean, for the most part, I am an open I do have my schedule open. It just depends on when the people that I invite are available. So,
Hmm.
I that's just the kind of person I am.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha, Mark. Gotcha. Man, I gotta get you on here sometime. I know you were here for the pilot episode, and I thank you for that. But I do want to get you on once we have some new stuff going on. But again, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. Tune in next week as we are going to be doing another episode 2, with more tech news and stuff like that. If you guys have anything that you guys want me to cover, be sure to send it over to me on Twitter, and I will definitely take a look at it, and maybe it'll be featured here on the show. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.